Mm-hmm.
7, 9, blast off.
Okay. Ooh, Arlene. Okay, I'm sorry. Can't call her Arlena, because if I got used to Arlena might change to, I don't know, Lorelei or something. So I'm just going to stick with Arlene, and I know Arlene hates that name because when Mom would wake us up, she would say, Lorraine, but then when she said Arlene, so she doesn't like Arlene. And the story is, the story is Mom liked the name, she liked the name Lorraine, and then Harry was going to name Arlene Lorraine. But the moment he saw her, he said, no, that's Lena, or I don't know.
Reincarnation of
He
Morn.
changed. They called her Arlene. I don't know why. And then he's the one called her Arlene and never called her Arlene. Called her Lena. So I got the name she wanted. I got the name she wanted. I got
Yeah, but she wants it because she's into numerology and it's got two. She stuck that A on so she'd have another A.
Okay. Now I got Arlene's name. I got Arlene's eyes that she wanted. Now one time, she always wanted my eyes. So one time she took a picture, these school pictures where they do it straight ahead like this, and she cut off her nose, her mouth, lovely mouth, lovely nose. She always hated her eyes, which were perfectly fine, but okay. Then she put my eyes and hair on top of her nose and mouth, and told everybody it was her cousin from New York. But this girl with my eyes and her nose was really great looking. But when she put her eyes onto my nose and mouth, that was terrible. Oh, I looked so bad. All right. There was Arlene, there was Bill, there was me, and there's Jeff. I'll pretend to know. It would be me, Jeff. Okay, so Arlene is the oldest one. You're right. This is hard. All right. What I remember about Arlene is the movies. It was the movies. Now, Arlene is 4 years older than I am. So that seems like nothing now. But when you're a little kid, when you're about 6 years old, and your sister is 7, 8, 9, 10, that's like a generation. So I think for the longest time, Arlene was this shadowy figure sort of skirting around the grown-ups. She was the big kid. Just like when you're a kindergartner, the third graders look immense. So she was always at 4 years older, and she grew faster too. And she was always at least head and shoulders taller than me until I was in high school, probably. So we used to go to the movies every Saturday. Movies in Burbank. 25 cents, there were about 2 movie theaters. And Arlene loved the movies. There were movie star pictures plastered with glue that she made out of flour and water all over the walls. And did a very bad job, all bumpy. But there was Judy Garland with a lot of bad skin, a lot of bumps on her face, and Guy Madison and people like that, all over, every one of them, because she bought all these movie magazines and knew all about their life and everything. And because she knew about them, I knew all about them. So every Saturday, we would walk the mile, or a mile and a half, across the railroad tracks to Burbank, and we'd see a movie. And I can remember what she looked like, because at a certain point there was a store, and it had a very thin mirror that was blue. It was a blue mirror, the outside of a store. And we would stop at that mirror, and I would be here, she would kind of hold me like this, and we'd both look in the mirror. And her lipstick, that was always pixie pink, bright pixie pink, was always purple with the blue mirror. And here we were, the 2 blue girls, and with her purple mouth, And we'd have to stop that mirror and look in it and laugh and smile. So that picture is very much embedded in my mind. So after we would see the movie, we would walk home again. And when she would walk, since I'm so much smaller, she would start to rest her elbow on my shoulder. So we'd start walking along, and her elbow would get heavier and heavier. And pretty soon, she was like moving me over to the side until I would have this much of the sidewalk left. or else she would lean over me and grab my jeans, because I always wore jeans, and I still wear jeans. And she would grab my jeans and make me walk all crooked. So that's some of the memories I have of her. All the movie stuff. She loved the movies so much. She loved the movie stars. And I think that she thought of herself as a movie star in her own movie of life. And I was one of the voyeurs or the spectators of this movie. Oh, yeah, I had a minor part in it. No, I remember once when we had to go see June Allison in Little Women. And that movie made a great impression on Lauren, because she was Jo. She felt like she was the Jo. And it was a story about a girl with a lot of sisters, a lot of brothers, no brothers, but a lot of sisters. So for months after that, Arlene was Jo, the sort of tomboy writer, heroine of life, and she used to try to climb up the tree, the plum tree, all the time. So for a while, she was climbing up the plum tree all the time, and then, or she'd get us all together, she'd get me and maybe a couple of friends, and we would start to act out Little Women. And I remember she told me to be Beth. Now, I didn't want to be Beth, because Beth died. So I started to cry, because I didn't want to die. So she was nice. She let me be Amy, the big sister, who had no personality at all. That was Janet Leigh. She said, oh, that's me, Nicole. There I was crying. She said, oh, no, you don't have to be Beth. You can be Amy. She was the beautiful one. Much better. But for a long time, she wanted to be June Allison. I think she identified with June Allison because they had a similar eye. And Dolly made sure she had the very same wave in her hair. That, and before June Allison came along, it was Betty Hutton. And Arlene would go to the mirror and open her mouth very wide. She was like Betty Hutton. But whatever movie we didn't see together, Arlene would come back and act out the entire movie for me. So that's why now I am known as the great movie buff. I didn't do anything. I didn't have anything to do with being the great movie buff. But even the movies I've never seen, I know all about and who is in and all the little intricate details, except that she would act out the movies, and then I'd go to see the movie finally, and I'd be waiting for this particular part or this particular look, and would come, because it was an Arlene's imagination. But one of the things that she didn't imagine was the kissing scene in Montgomery Clift and Elizabeth Taylor and the American Dream. What was it called? Place in the Sun. Place in the Sun. And she went over that kiss about 1 million times. The kiss was very, very important to her. She'd come home from date, and she'd tell me about who kissed her, and if it was any good or not, and what they did wrong, or what they did right. So I had this whole teenage life that But the funny thing was, when I was very, very little, Jeff, Jeff was like my peer, my friend, and it seemed like we did all these things together so much that we were almost one. We thought the same thoughts, and if I had a dream, he would be in my dream. And Arlene was this shadowy figure that wasn't really, seemed so grown up. And I wasn't part of her life. I hung out with Bill, who was my big brother, and Jeff, and we were always going out on adventures, and Arlene never wanted to do that. She was with the movie stars. And then somewhere about, somewhere about 10 years old, I was sitting around in the bedroom, and Arlene was reading some magazine with her friends, and she read something like, she said, little sisters always look up to their big sisters and look up to them. And I thought, I laughed at that. But I don't know. After that time, it seemed that I started to pay more attention to Arlene and her life, and did start to hang around with her. And I don't know if that put the idea into my head about the little sisters should hang around with their big sisters, because before that, I was hanging around with my brothers. Or maybe it put the idea into Arlene's head, so that she thought she needed like a sort of a Tonto to her Lone Ranger kind of thing. But I think that's what happened. And after that, I became much more aware of Arlene, and I sort of alternated hanging out with the brothers, doing the boy things, the tomboy things, and going on bike expeditions, and hanging out with the big sister, and kind of getting in on the teenage life, or what was going to be. And I would sit there and I would watch her make up or prepare for a date. Preparing for a date was a very elaborate process. She would take a bath in the afternoon. She's going to go out for a date. She would take a bath in the afternoon, and she'd string all these electric cords together all the way into the bathroom, and hook up her radio. And the radio would be playing music that she liked. And then she would be taking her bath with the radio somewhere on the floor. And after her bath, she would, somewhere before her date, she would make up and do all that. And then her date would come and sit in our living room and try to pretend to be clever with me, and try to get on my good side, or whoever was there. And then she would walk out. She would make this entrance, and she would always look spectacular. I always thought she was the most glamorous thing around. She looked like June Allison, and her dates would always look properly impressed. But when she didn't have dates, she would have these guys. She always had a guy who would adore her there, whether she liked them or not. There were always guys hanging around, ready to do things for her, ready to, later on they were ready to save her. They were ready to, save her life and make her this or make her that. And Howard Small. And Howard Small was madly in love with Arlene, and wrote poems about her, and wrote songs for her, and played the piano for her while she would sing. And better turn it off, because I can't think of anything at the moment.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll tell about the time. She told me I was done.
Oh, do that.
All right.
Okay.
Turn it
Hit
on.
it.
Okay. Is it on?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. I don't know why, but Arlene liked to, I don't know, she liked to spook me. She liked to spook a lot of people. Skippy, I should tell about Skippy. I remember when, you remember Skippy?
Yeah, my best pal.
Jeff's friend, Skippy, little Skippy, across the street. And Arlene would like to scare Skippy so that he would run screaming across the street, without, his mother came back and said that we were going to kill Skippy because the cars were going to hit him, and when he ran screaming across the street, he never looked both ways, so that we might kill him. So we better not keep spooking Skippy. But I guess we went along on these things. But one time she was a ghost. She put on a sheet, and Skippy ran screaming. But for me, I was a little bit harder nut to crack, but she would not give up until she could spook me. And one day we were walking home from the movies, probably, walking back around, and she suddenly I said something, she didn't like it, and she said, well, with the old thing, well, you know, you're really adopted. And of course, I didn't believe it. And I said, no. But she wouldn't give it up. She kept saying, she's making stories up about it, and when, where, and how. And it's, as she kept doing it, I kept just losing that confidence that she was kidding me. She kept at it, she kept at it. And then finally she said, well, you know, you're adopted and you used to live right over here. And it was some house. And I said, she said, here's your adoption agency right here. We're bringing you back. And even though I knew it wasn't true, and I knew it was just a house, somehow she started dragging me up the stoop of this house, up the little cement pathway to this house. Somehow I thought, since she was doing that, being so overt about it, that it almost had to be true. So I was kicking and screaming, and she was dragging me up. I don't know what the people in the house must have thought. They were looking out the window and saw this. But, okay, I broke down, and she won, and that was the story of when she told me I was adopted. I thought, it made me believe it for the split second. And another one, I was very proud of the fact I was not afraid of the dark. I was not afraid of the dark, so she closed the door and locked me in my bedroom. I mean, if I had been smart enough, I would have just known I should just turn on the light. But there's a certain panic involved. And so when she slammed the door and was laughing on the other side of the door, holding the door shut, and I was pulling and pushing on the door, it was in that moment when I became afraid of the dark. But, see, I got back at her because I was so afraid of the dark after that, and if I woke up in the middle of the night, I would go and jump in her bed, and then she'd wind up, with me in her bed. So, as it turned out, then my mother decided that we had to have one great big double bed instead of two single beds because I was always being in her bed. So she lost her bed because she made me afraid of the dark. All right, what else?
She didn't like sleeping alone, or she did?
No, she liked sleeping alone. It's just that I would be afraid in the middle of the night, and so I needed protection. So, and maybe that was it. Arlene became that protection of sorts. And so you kind of need somebody that is going to be your protection. I can't think of anything awful.
Beat up, take one.
Okay, Arlene was very powerful. It's not because that she was physically powerful, but she had a very quick mind and a very sharp tongue. And she could, being 2 years older than Bill, being 4 years older than me, being 6 years older than Jeff, and being very sharp, she had a great advantage. And she was clever. She could find your soft spot. And so if you were stupid, you would show your soft spot. If you were smart, you wouldn't let her know where it was. And if she hid it, she wouldn't know it. Okay? So, but Bill, he was always clashing with Arlene because I guess he felt like he should be able to stand up to her. And I can remember him getting angry and shoving her against a picket fence one time because she was sashaying in with her friends and trying to put him down, and that was the first time I think he did something physical. But that was when he was young. And our mom would say that, Bill, you control yourself. You shouldn't beat up your sister. That's not nice. So, but one time in Florida, we lived in Florida, and we were so down on our luck that we were living in a tiny, tiny little mouse-infested, no hot water little house in Florida, waiting for money to come in from Harry. So we were eating hamburgers every day, and I guess we're getting a little more and more testy while we were waiting for money to go home. But I can remember so much sitting around the coffee, or sitting around the dining room table eating our dinner, and we'd always get into these large discussions. And at one time, it was some sort of discussion, and Bill and Arlene started to get into it. So we get to, and he's trying to put her down, and she's trying to put him down. And he was doing pretty well, but Arlene knew his weak spot. And all she had to do was this. She said, Bill, your face is getting red. Face is getting red, and you know what that means. It means you're about to cry. You are, Bill. You're going to cry soon. You can't keep it up. It's coming. Come on, don't hold it back. Don't hold it back. Just let it go. It's okay. And boom! He exploded, crying, hitting, slugging. We had to pull him off. Remember that? So she could push the buttons. Turn it off for a bit.
Yeah.
So I can't-
Record topic
Okay.
of
When Arlene was very young, the first thing she wanted to be was a singer. And she was very serious about that. And she would sing all the time. And we had a microphone. Our father had this whole setup of his piano and the drum set and the thing that made records. And the thing that made records had this microphone. So you could turn on the microphone